This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland. Our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings. And coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today. And Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loved so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football and brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy Game. And we will not see a run back on the opening kickoff. This will be a touchback. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to ever practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
He'll get this complete to Cooper Kupp. And they're able to get this one across the 35. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, he drafted 30 rounds then.
Looking at a 2nd and 11 now after the loss. Another run with Sanders. And space tough to come by there as he'll get maybe a yard to the 37. Right where this set of downs started, they need a full 10 here to pick up the first down and move the chains. Now Favre. Tries for Rice, intercepted. And the possession is theirs at their own 43-yard line. Not something you see very often from a quarterback of his caliber, an opening drive interception.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that even he's surprised at how that one played out. But we know this guy is not going to stop him from continuing to fire as this game goes along. Probably give a little nod of respect across the field for that one and let him know he'll be back the very next series.
So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in the conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And was there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
It'll be Sanders to begin the drive, and he stopped immediately there. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968, and that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders, and what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
So we're through one at the Coliseum in Oakland. 0-0 our score. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA Sports. The NFC with the football here to begin the second quarter, as they've got a 2nd and 8 forthcoming. Throwing is far. Looking sideline, incomplete. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. So 10 seasons as a head coach. The Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Touchdown! Jerry Rice from 4 yards out, as his guys are first onto the scoreboard here this afternoon. Well, that's just how they drew it up, CD. His first read was there, got it to him quickly, and into the end zone.
Absolutely excellent execution by all involved. And the coordinator, got to give him credit, found the perfect play call. Quarterback let it fly as soon as the target came free, and his guy made a nice catch. Just how you draw it up in practice and then execute it in the game.
Extra point by Anderson, up and good. And it's now a 7-0 game. Dante Hall going to bring it out of the end zone. And he brings us out past the 20 to the 24. And the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
And this one taken in on the right sideline, but not in the field of play. They say it's incomplete. The throw led him a little too far. It brings up 3rd down. Now Brady. And that nearly intercepted. Well, for a guy known for his hands defensively, that's a ball he probably thinks he should have come up with. But instead, it's fourth down. They'll go for it. It's Brady. And it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over. A surprising move to go for it. Predictably, at least somewhat predictably, it doesn't pay off. And the NFC is going to get the football back in excellent field position. On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And he'll go down here at the 35-yard line. 2 minutes remain here in the first half of the John Madden Legacy game. We'll be back. Hey, we want to let you know, give you a fair warning that coming up at halftime, the folks at EA Sports have put together a very nice package in tribute to Coach Madden. So make sure you stick around for that. Again, coming up at halftime. From the 32 now, here's 1st and 10. To throw is Favre. And his throw is incomplete. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out in either the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
But a nice return sets him up pretty good here right at the 30-yard line. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every...
And now off to the races, down the right side. And he's going to get this down to the 35-yard line. So that changes things a bit. Here's a 1st and 10 all the way down at the 35. And they'll have it in the red zone before he crosses over out of bounds. 16 more on that one and another 1st down. Into the red zone, it's Brady. Underneath to Allen. All that for a 2-yard gain, 2nd down.
All defenses worry that whenever anyone catches the ball and has a head of steam come out of the backfield, it can turn into a big play with missed tackles or he runs through people. But they were right there waiting, and they stopped him for a minimal gain.
And he's brought down just outside of the 10 at the 11. Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left.
Madden is on the field. my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't it?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. Well, it's quite possible, though, that now... Well, he's free going down the left side. It's a foot race. And all the way in for the touchdown. From one end zone to the other, 101 yards. And the AFC able to cut it to within a score.
That was a special return, and it happened because he's a special returner. He has to have that approval from his special teams coach's head coach to bring it out of the end zone.
But let's be honest, a lot of times when they bring it out of the end zone like he did there, they don't have approval. I mean, I think a lot of times they do, but correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes it's just a guy getting a feel, right?
You're exactly right. What's the old adage? Sometimes you just have to know when to break the rules. And if you do, you're taking on some responsibility. But he was happy to do so there.
So now the other return teams out there, as they'll try to duplicate what they just saw. This one taken just inside the 10. And he won't quite make it to the 25. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. Well, this game, it has obviously been all about the defense on both sides of the football. Which offense is going to break through here? We'll see if they can do it on this drive. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
The AFC offense set to take their next drive. Throwing on first down is Brady. And it's knocked away and incomplete. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
A give running left, it's Sanders. And he'll get this one down to about the 17. 3 yards on that last carry. Here's 2nd and 7. Favre. A quick throw, knocked away, and incomplete.
Partner, for once in my life, I'll be succinct. In a one-possession game, every single stop like that could be a difference maker.
Here's Favre to throw. And that is incomplete.
I think it's safe to say that he's made some questionable decisions out there so far. Forced some throws into tight coverage. He's already been picked off in this game. 4th down now, but he was fortunate on that one. Not to have another turnover on his ledger.
So the starting field position was terrific following the surprising turnover on downs, but the end result, only 3 points.
Simply stated, I think you have to look at that as a missed opportunity.
And what a job there by all 11 on the kick return. The blocking excellent, the return excellent. The result, 6 points. solid return. Pretty good field position. They'll start at the 32. The offense for the AFC set to go now. They're coming off a fourth down gamble that last drive that backfired CD, but really not as badly as it could. Their defense held up and only gave up 3 points.
And what they want to do is play off the momentum the defense gave them. Only giving up the 3 points in that situation after they failed on fourth down. Now they want to make it pay off. They want to pay homage to the defense and have their own drive pay off the points for themselves.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his manner, and that's caught inside the 30. Now Brown, he lost the football. And it looks like the NFC's going to have it, and they do.
It's not often that we see big plays end in disaster. And we just absolutely saw it right there. They had something really big cooking on that one.
When you're down near the goal line like that on a big play, do you get maybe a little too careless, a little too desperate for the goal line?
I think the last part is exactly right. You get desperate for the goal line, and sometimes you get the ball out of it away from your body, or you're trying to extend to get there, or maybe you're just trying so hard that the ball will come out of your hands. In any event, that's a big opportunity lost.
Back to throw now in his own end zone. That's into a crowd and intercepted. Rod Woodson with a pick. And he is going to score. It's a pick 6 and an AFC touchdown. Well, Charles, you can just see the frustration on the sideline. Safe to say that's not how they expected this series to go. The ball only went one way, and it was backward into their own end zone, courtesy of the pick 6.
And, Brandon, how often do we hear offenses tell us before a game they want to end every series with a kick, right? A punt, a PAT, or a field goal? In case of a defense, they want to end with a punt or a takeaway. And we saw the takeaway right there, and it turned out to be a takeaway that turned into 6 points.
Now whistles come in. We're going to get a timeout here by the offense. It's just their first, so 2 remaining as they burn one here in this third quarter. The defense more than did its job. Now the offense is summoned onto the field as they'll go for 2. So after the INT, it's Brady. And he is into the end zone to give him a 2-point lead. Could have been up 1 with a point after, but they go for 2. It worked.
It almost seems like they're trying to set an identity, doesn't it? We're going to be one of those teams that every time we get a chance to put extra points on the board, we will. Because really it's minimal in difference, right? Whether you're up 1 or 2, a field goal can still get you.
Hester going to decide against a return, and they will spot this at the 25. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And really, Charles, not much of a surprise that they're losing. They just haven't been able to get much of anything going in the pass game. And as you well know, in today's NFL, if the passing game isn't working, usually not much else is working either.
You're exactly right about that, partner. And I know that right now the easy answer would be, hey, let's run the football. But that might not be everything you need. So despite the fact that they've struggled throwing it, they've got to find some type of a play, multiple plays, that puts the ball in the air and allows for them to have some success.
On first down, Favre. Yeah, that went too far in front. He couldn't reel it in. It's incomplete. Third quarter of a 2-point game. A good one so far. Here's 2nd and 10. Up the middle they go with Sanders. And he takes it past the 45 and down at the 46. They'll need 5 on this play to move the sticks. They'll look to throw. And he's going to be intercepted a 3rd time. Picked off by Rod Woodson. And he is going to score. It's a pick 6 and an AFC touchdown. An excellent play there, CD, on the pick 6. And I think were they a nickel? Did they have an extra DB out there?
Yeah, Brandon, I think they were in standard nickel, not the Buffalo, as teams like to call it, meaning 3 safeties for big nickel. They just wanted to take away the quarterback's throwing lanes, and that's exactly what they did, and came through with a big-time pick 6.
The defense more than did its job. Now the offense is summoned onto the field as they'll go for 2. And now a fumble. Brady loses the football. And it looks like the NFC's going to have it, and they do.
Well, that two-point attempt failed due to the fumble, but people that can't see this, but you got a ball in your hands now, and you got the thing locked in pretty well. You got it covered up.
I love having a football in the booth. I always hang on to it. Makes me feel like I actually played back in my day.
Well, you probably could have. If you had run that play, you would not have fumbled, I can tell you that.
Maybe. And they will wrangle it down a couple yards shy of the 30. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. They're sort of seeing themselves spiral out of control. Let's see if they can get things back on track. And his pass is intercepted for the 4th time today. Rob Woodson with a pick. I think it's safe to say this is a game he's not going to forget anytime soon, Charles. 3 interceptions.
It's rare that we see 3 interceptions by one team, let alone by an individual. And I think that after the second one, he's probably telling his teammates, any ball that's in the air, it's going to be mine. And that turned out to be true.
Quarters complete now in the John Madden legacy game from Oakland. It's the AFC on top, and we're back to the Coliseum after this. Here on EA Sports, it's the AFC with the lead and the football as we begin the 4th quarter. On first down, Brady. And he is going to lose yardage here. A completion, yes, but certainly not what they wanted. A loss of a full 6 yards. To throw again on second down. Brady. He's going to let this go. Back of the end zone. And that is caught for an AFC touchdown. Andre Reed, 32 yards. And the AFC takes advantage of the interception, and they turn it into 6. We talk so often about how hard it is to win in the NFL when you turn the ball over, and here a late turnover leads to a 4th quarter touchdown and a 2-score lead.
And what's more important is being able to take advantage when a turnover presents itself. You've got to come up with points to make the other guy pay. They're able to do so here, and they've got a pretty good chance now of winning this football game.
Vinatieri able to tack it on the PAT, and the lead is up to 15 now. There's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. This is taken just shy of the 10. And he'll be stopped up at the 25. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And they've sort of lost their way, partner. How do they recalibrate and get this proverbial train back on track?
Well, this is where leadership really comes into play. How's the head coach handling it? The offensive coordinator? Sometimes they just make a joke. All right, guys, you had your fun? All right.
Throw it out the window.
Yeah, let's get back on track here. And sometimes that'll work just fine.
I guess it's time now to lean on that leadership. And they get him down, but not before he takes it across the 40-yard line. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally.
Now the ball comes loose. And that's picked up by the AFC. And he'll bring this one back to the 29.
Brandon, I don't want to violate any of our broadcasting rules by declaring a game over before it's over. But that one, that puts them in real jeopardy there.
Absolutely. It was a 2-possession game. It is a 2-possession game at this stage in the 4th. They needed points out of that drive.
And obviously now, no chance at all to get those points that they so desperately needed.
So 2 minutes to play in the John Madden legacy game. The AFC trying to finish this one off. We're back to Oakland after this. So the AFC with the football as we welcome you back. And you'd have to figure they're just looking to burn these final 2 minutes away and get out of here with a victory. They keep it on the ground. Allen again. And some determined running there as he'll pick his way down to the 12-yard line. So fresh out of the 2-minute warning, and here's another timeout taken with 1:55 remaining. down at the 12. It's 1st and 10. Brady going to throw here. He finds his man, complete. It's Gonzalez. They'll wind up getting just a yard, and it'll be 2nd down.
I know sometimes we can get fooled when we watch him make catches, as we just saw him do there, because he really looks like a wide receiver the way he goes about his business.
Yeah, 230, 240 range.
Yeah, not super huge. Maybe not counted on to be that inline point-of-attack blocker that we used to have in the good old days, but you can flex him out. You can run wide receiver routes with him. You can make him a primary target, and that's how he'll shred a defense.
Now Allen. And he will take this in for an AFC touchdown. Marcus Allen, a 10-yard touchdown run. And the AFC able to use the short field as they cash in for 6 points. Vinatieri connecting on the extra point, and the lead opens up now to 22 points. Here's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. And Hester content to hold on to this one and bring it out to the 25. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. Where we stand right now in the 4th quarter, this one pretty much out of reach. And Charles, I know they're going to be disappointed about several things with this ball game, but the self-inflicted wounds, they've had several turnovers. You have to think that's going to be something they're going to discuss heavily in the film session in the coming days.
You're absolutely right about that, partner, because they're going to have to sit in that film room and watch every error that they made and figure out how to not do it in the future. And mentally, I think a lot of the guys are already starting to think about, okay, how do we put this behind us and get better for the next time out? This then uses motivation for the rest of the time that they play to hopefully never be in this type of situation again.
It's a big play that time for the NFC. 49 yards. He's going to drop this down to Sanders. Now the NFC going to use their 3rd and final timeout as the clock will stop with an even 20 seconds left to go. From the shotgun, it's Favre. And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Cooper Kupp from 10 yards out. And the NFC able to get a bit closer. Flush to his, and now the pressure gets there, and he goes down. So he couldn't get rid of the football, and that deficit stays right where it is. And the AFC is going to cover this up, and that should do it. They knew they needed a miracle. They had to have that onside kick. They didn't get it.
Well, as we knew, even before they put the toe to the leather on that one, their chances of getting that done, slim and none. And I do believe we saw Slim just leave the door, didn't we?
We did indeed. I think we're down to none. They'll lose a yard there, and it's 2nd and 11. So it's a win here for the AFC on an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. Before we go, one final message, and for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.